Imagine a place where the worst of the worst are sent to live. A town of sex offenders, shunned by society and forced to reside together in isolation. This is the chilling reality of Miracle Village, a small community in the heart of Florida that has become a stark reminder of the complex and often controversial issue of how we as a society deal with those convicted of sexual crimes. Miracle Village sits miles from the nearest town, hidden away from public view. It's a community unlike any other, one that was specifically created to house registered sex offenders after they've served their time in prison. With nowhere else to go, these individuals are essentially exiled to this remote location, forced to rebuild their lives under the watchful eye of the community. The residents of Miracle Village are a diverse group. Some are child molesters, others are rapists. What they all have in common is a conviction that has branded them as social pariahs, unfit to live among the general public. And so they've been relegated to this small, impoverished town with little hope of ever truly reintegrating into society. Resident 1. It's not easy living here. We're looked at as the lowest of the low, even though we've done our time. Nobody wants us around, so we're stuck out in the middle of nowhere, trying to make the best of it. Resident 2. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. And I'm paying for it every single day. But this place, it's like a prison, just without the bars. We're trapped here, with no way out. The creation of Miracle Village was born out of a well-intentioned effort to provide a safe haven for sex offenders after their release from prison. The idea was to give them a community where they could rebuild their lives, away from the temptations and triggers that might lead them to reoffend. At its peak, Miracle Village was home to over 100 registered sex offenders, all living in a small cluster of modest homes and a community center. The town had its own rules and regulations, with curfews, mandatory counseling sessions, and strict monitoring to ensure the residents stayed in check. Founder 1. We wanted to give these men a chance. We know they've done terrible things, but we also believe in redemption. This was a way for them to get a fresh start, away from the judgment and stigma of the outside world. Founder 2. It's not an easy solution by any means. But what's the alternative? Releasing them back into society without any support or guidance? That's a recipe for disaster. At least here, we can keep an eye on them and provide the resources they need to hopefully never commit another crime. But for all the good intentions behind Miracle Village, the reality has been far more complex and troubling. The isolation and stigma of living in a town of sex offenders has taken a heavy toll on the residents, many of whom struggle with depression, anxiety, and a sense of hopelessness. And the community itself has faced its own share of challenges. Residents have clashed with local authorities, and there have been reports of drug use, violence, and even instances of reoffending within the town's walls. Critics of Miracle Village argue that it's simply a way to sweep the problem of sex offenders under the rug, rather than addressing the deeper societal and systemic issues that contribute to sexual violence. They contend that isolating these individuals only serves to further ostracize them, making it even harder for them to reintegrate and seek genuine rehabilitation. Critic 1, this town is just a band-aid on a much bigger problem. We need to be investing in comprehensive mental health treatment, education, and support services for these individuals, not just shoving them off to the middle of nowhere and hoping for the best. Critic 2, it's a dangerous and dehumanizing way of dealing with a complex issue. These are human beings, not just statistics or sex offenders. They deserve a chance at redemption, not to be condemned to a life of isolation and shame. And as Miracle Village has slowly dwindled in size over the years, with many residents moving on or even returning to prison, the question remains, is this truly the best way to address the issue of sex offenders in our society? Some argue that Miracle Village is a necessary evil, a way to protect the public while also providing a measure of support and guidance to those who have committed these terrible crimes. Others see it as a failed experiment, a band-aid on a much deeper societal wound. The story of Miracle Village is a complex and often unsettling one, a stark reminder of the challenges we face as a society in dealing with the issue of sexual violence and those who commit these crimes. It's a story that raises more questions than answers, and one that we as a society must continue to grapple with in the years to come. If you or someone you know has been affected by sexual violence, there are resources and support available. Visit a reliable center to learn more about how you can get help or get involved in the fight against sexual assault and exploitation. If you want to see more exciting content, why don't you subscribe and hit the notification bell for more new videos to come? See you next time.